To replace your Allegro to Carriage wheels, you'll need these 3 wrenches, which come with your kit. You may also need a combination wrench for a little bit extra leverage to loosen some tight bolts. It's also very helpful to have a sitting box, 2 yoga blocks, and a couple of towels for the procedure. Hi, my name is Kayleen and I'm here in the BB Garage today to show you how to replace the wheels on your Allegro to Carriage. This will cover how to replace both your side wheels and the rolling wheels. So in general, we need to remove the end casting from the frame, remove the carriage, replace the wheels, and then put the carriage back in and put the end casting back on. So to do that, I've got a few props here, and these are generally things you'll find in your studio. So I use a sitting box, and today I'm going to use 2 moon boxes here, but sometimes I'll use a yoga block, or I've even used some hand weights before. And then 2 towels, and then these are my wheels that came in the mail, okay? All right, so to start, let's prop up this end of the frame so we can get underneath it. I'm going to use my sitting box and one of my towels. So one of the towels is to protect your sitting box from damage from the rails. So you could also use a yoga mat maybe. And this is going to slide right under the frame here. All right, so now that this end of the reformer is propped up, I'm going to remove the risers and the ropes. The risers are attached to the end casting, so we want to take them off. Underneath, you'll find some knobs. We're just going to loosen these knobs on the risers, and they should slide right out. All right, in your kit, you should have a wrench. It's kind of a big wrench here. And it's got a curved arm on it. And that's the one we need. Oops. Made my own bag opening here. This is the one that we need to take the end casting off. We've got the curved end on the wrench so that it can reach around. There are 2 bolts on each side, and the curved end will enable you to reach around the bottom bolt to fit into a tight space. Okay, here we go. I'm going lefty-loosey here, or as Ken would say, counterclockwise. Now, if it seems like this is staying hard a lot, you'll notice that the end casting kind of wants to drift or lean away from the rails. And so sometimes I'll just use my hand and push the end casting onto the rails. And that allows the nut to move a little bit more. So let's see, not quite ready to come off by hand. There we go. Okay, let's do the other side. sometimes you do need a bit of force to loosen these bolts. All right, let's make sure I've got these nuts all in one spot because we'll need them again. Okay. Now we're ready to slide the end casting off of the rails. Usually use a little bit of a wiggle here and be careful not to get one side further than the other, otherwise they'll get stuck. So we pull both sides out pretty evenly. I can put this off to the side. Now, in order to remove the carriage from the frame, we need to prop up each of these rails because otherwise the bottom of the carriage will hit the sitting box. Okay, so in this case, I love using yoga blocks in a studio because they're usually there. But I'm going to use a Moonbox Lite today for both of these sides. So when you lift these up, these need to be positioned so they are towards the outside of the frame, just like this. Okay. And this now gives the carriage some clearance to pass over the sitting box and between the moon boxes. Okay, I need to prepare a surface for the carriage. So I'm going to lay a towel out on the floor. You can put it on top of another reformer. You just want to be sure, since you're putting it upside down, that the surface is soft and smooth and there's no little chips or anything. Let's take the shoulder rests out and unhook the springs. Now, this is a great spot for a second person to help you remove the carriage. I've done this several times so I can maneuver it all right, but it weighs about 50 pounds, so it's pretty heavy. You'll also have your ropes and risers following you. So I usually put them at the center of this radius I'm going to be going at and just leave them on the floor. So let's slide this out. All right. Now we can tip it over. And we see the wheels, and we're ready to replace the wheels on the carriage. Let's change out our side wheel first. So let's grab our bag, and we're going to need a few things out of your hardware, your kit. Okay, so we need our Allen wrench, and then there is a package of wheels all wrapped up. And with the side wheels, you want to be very careful because these bearings will fall out sometimes. You just press them back in, but just don't shake these out anywhere. Okay. We'll also need a little bag of hardware, and from this we'll grab a bolt, and then we need 2 of the smaller, thinner washers and 1 of the bigger washers. Okay, so here's a bigger washer, and then smaller washer, and another smaller washer, and a lock nut. There we go. So to loosen this bolt, we'll use our Allen wrench, and because we've got a lock nut back here, we don't always need to hold it with a wrench just to get the initial break free. But you'll see that this is quite hard. Okay, I can pull really hard and it's not moving. So I'm going to use a little cheater method here, and that is with a combination wrench. I'll give myself a little bit more leverage by sliding it over here, and now my arm is twice as long. And there we go. Now, once I've broken free here, I do need to hold the nut on the bottom with my fingers. Okay? So I'll go ahead and remove the hardware, and we'll put this off to the side. We don't need it anymore. Okay, so new hardware. We put the bolt in first. Should fit right in like that. Then we'll put the bigger washer on with a smaller washer underneath it. Okay, and what that does is your smaller washers are going to, oops, see there I did it. The bearings just came out. I'll just push it back in there. There we go. Now it's back in there. Okay, so these smaller washers are going to sandwich your wheel. So one on one side and one on the other. Okay, so in order to do that, we're going to stack this bigger washer, slide it on the bolt, then the smaller washer, then the wheel. Be sure we don't let the bearings slide out. Okay. Got a washer inside. There we go, blocking the way. Okay. Now we'll put our other smaller washer on. Oops. And then the nut. I'll use my fingers to tighten this, and then to tighten this all the way, we do need your wrench that came with the kit and the Allen wrench. So I'm going to hold the nut on the bottom and then use the Allen wrench to tighten everything down. There we go. I'll just make sure that spins freely. Perfect. Okay, now we can do our rolling wheel. So we grab the other package. Looks very much like the side wheel package. And it too has an Allen wrench and a bag of hardware and some a package of wheels. So let's open up this package. And we'll pull out a wheel here. Okay. So here's our little bag of hardware. It's a little bit different than the side wheel. We need a bolt, a nut, and 2 washers only. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and use my Allen wrench to loosen this bolt. Okay, and then I'll get my hand behind there to hold the nut in place as I continue loosening the hardware. So this might be a good opportunity to grab a cloth and clean this area if you see a bunch of dirt or hair sticking around here. Usually this is pretty dirty on studios I go visit. All right, so with the new wheel, again, we're going to sandwich the wheel with 2 washers. Okay, so there's one on that side, one on the other side. I'm going to slide the bolt through the wheel. It doesn't matter from which direction. So now I've got bolt, washer, wheel, washer. Okay, that goes through the hole. And then I'll finger tighten here. And then again, my Allen wrench and the open end wrench we'll use to tighten it down. So there should be a little bit of clearance between the wheel and the carriage rail. and this should spin freely. All right, so now we've got our 2 new wheels installed. You can go ahead and do the same thing on the other 3 sets. Then we're ready to put the carriage back in the frame. Before we put the carriage into the frame, I want to show you how to put these little stickers on. And these stickers come in your wheel kits, and they do a nice job of protecting your wheels from getting nicked on the edge of the rail when you put it back in the frame. So I'm going to pull out 2 of these little stickers here. They're little white things. Whoops. And we're going to peel them back. So you should have this clear part here. And I'm just going to fold the clear over the end of the rail. And so that way, because I'm not going to be able to see the rail and the wheel when I put it in, this way I'm not banging the wheel up against this hard edge here. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. There we go. Okay, again, this might be a good job for 2 people. And let's make sure the springs are sort of centered so they don't get in the way. And then we'll just slide these wheels into the frame. And I'm going really slow and gentle till I find it. And again, finding the second set, sliding it right in. Now don't let go of the carriage, so it will bang. There we go. All right. Now we can remove our stickers and remove these moon boxes or your yoga blocks or whatever, so that when we reinstall the end casting, we've got a little bit more stable surface to work on. There we go. Now putting the end casting on sometimes is a little bit tricky because you have to line up these threaded studs and the metal posts. And those metal posts fit in some holes. So I like to go really gently. And again, if you get too ahead of yourself on one side, the other side is going to be even harder. So I try and keep them equidistant from the rail as I push this in. Okay, now we'll get underneath and put our nuts back on. I'm going to start both of these nuts by hand. And I'm giving the end casting a little push with my right hand just to keep it secure and tight. All right, now I can take that curved end of my wrench and tighten these bolts all the way. Okay. Usually if you tighten the bottom one, the top one cinches a little bit tighter, and then I can turn it with my fingers a couple of times more before I get the wrench in, because the wrench can only go about 1/8 of a turn at a time. There we go. All right, that side's good. Let's do the other side. All right, end casting is secure. We can reinstall the risers. These are all a little bit tangled up, but that's not a big deal. I'm going to take my hand underneath and tighten the knobs. Making sure that these ropes are not crossed. There we go. Let's remove the sitting box. Reattach a spring. Then we can put our shoulder rests back in. And now your Allegro 2 is all ready to be used with its brand new wheels. Thanks for joining me here today in the BB Garage. If you need more videos like this one, you can check them out at pilates.com/bbgarage. I'll see you there.